Hello everyone, it's Jay here from the Trading Court Podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast bringing you anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. If you are looking for Pokemon TCG competitive decks ready to go, including GLC decks, please head over to pokedex4u.com. Pokedex4u has a variety of decks ready for sale, with each deck being fully customizable and bespoke to your needs. Use the code TrainingCourtTCG for 5% off your first order. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Training Court TCG podcast. I'm Jay from the Training Court TCG channel, where we talk anything and everything about Pokemon TCG. I'm joined this week by my fellow co-hosts, Alex, Andy and Kath. Hello everyone, you right?
Hello.
Well, another week's passed, another episode, and we're here talking about Pokemon again. So it's my favourite time of the week. Second favourite time of the week. The other favourite time of the week is to actually play some Pokemon. So that's a nice little segue there. So playing Pokemon. I know me and Andy played some Pokemon, but I'm going to ask the habitual...
We need to wait till
Alex
Scarlet
and
and Violet. I tell you what, Pokemon related, I am watching the anime, and I was really annoyed. Well, I won't talk too much about it because we're not an anime series, but I got to the end of the journeys, and I thought, okay, this is going to be where Ash fights Leon, and it's going to be it. And then I realised that actually there's like 2 more seasons later, and another like 90 episodes.
The Journey of Masters, isn't it?
You just finished Ultimate or Master? Is it
No,
Masters?
just Journeys. I just finished the Sword and Shield with Eternatus.
So you've got
Masters, 2 more.
Ultimate.
Yeah. Ultimate's not on Netflix, so I need to download it somehow.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
I mean, yeah. Illegal. We don't download illegally.
From Pokemon and Pokemon TV on the Switch app, of course.
Yeah.
So no play Pokemon from Alex.
I played.
I was going to say, Kath, what have you played?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, apologies for that. What did you play then?
Clefairy.
Of course.
On Sunday, with Paul and my niece Camilla.
Mm-hmm. How did it go?
Well, obviously I won.
Of course. Have you started making changes? Have you started making changes and thinking about what you can replace certain items and cards with? When regulation change comes.
I've lifted all the rotating cards out, and then was just thinking, crap, that's actually quite a lot of cards.
It's not just the items you lose as well as its supporters, like Bird Keeper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bird Keeper Marnie.
It's going to take a bit of work, and I'll also have to see what cards we get in pre-release, because I might not necessarily have access to the cards that I really want if we don't get them in the packs. So.
Well, if you do need cards, the best place to get them is pokedex4u.com, and he's our sponsor for this episode.
What a segue!
So, but in all honesty, pokedex4u.com, they're the go-to place for all your deck needs, and for everyone out there listening and watching, if you do place an order with Pokedex4u, if you use the discount code Training Court TCG, you get 5% off your order. So yeah, and again, thanks to Pokedex4u for sponsoring out this episode again and sponsoring the podcast in general. So as myself and Andy said, we did actually play. So we did some more tabletop gameplay. We actually did. It was a recommendation from someone who commented on our channel who wanted to see how post-rotation Lugia deck runs. So I piloted the Lugia with the Tyranitar and the single strike energy. And Andy, what did you run?
Oinkologne EX.
How did you find it? Because obviously it was we were still using proxies, but given that that could be a deck we could run in 2 weeks time, 2.5 weeks time.
Once I'd got into like the second game and I'd figured out how best to run it, it was quite fun pilot. But I think that first game I had, I was just completely bricking. I don't know if it was just choices that I made right at the start where I should have maybe done something else.
From my side, it was really frustrating to play against.
Really?
It's
what does
just
it do?
a
Like, what's
chunky
its
boy.
unique? Like, what's special
boy.
about it? Chunky boy.
So basically, because it doesn't have an ability, you can use full face guard. So that's a tool card you attach, and then it takes 20 less damage if it doesn't have an ability. So that with V-Guard energy,
you're doing 50 less, yeah.
Then you can use Cheryl to heal off any damage, or Sherry's Care to just pick it up, promote Lechonk and evolve back into the Oikoloni X.
So with the Lugia deck, obviously lost powerful energy. You're relying on Choice Belt, which I don't think I only ran one Choice Belt, and it doesn't work. It doesn't negate all the damage, and then also
losing all the amazing rares.
Yveltal, I was going to say Yveltal for a quick knockout. I think I misplayed in the second game. I don't want to obviously give away, because obviously we're hoping to release that footage for everyone out there. But in it went to a third game, and I had to pull off a hell of a move to try and get the win. And you'll have to watch the episode to see. Well, watch the video to see how that goes. But yeah, it's really interesting playing without all the staples you're so used to. No Marnies, just Judge. Obviously, no powerful energies. Just made such a big difference. The amazing rares for Lugia just kind of felt half baked, if that makes sense. It just didn't feel as powerful as it was. And no quick balls to quickly get rid of Pokemon. Yeah, it was rough. But it's an interesting glimpse to see what life is going to be like post rotation. But obviously, we've got new decks coming out, and I think we're more excited about playing them than playing the older decks. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm ready for format now.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus amongst all of us who play, and obviously the group and the community we're in. Everyone's just ready for new cards and the new format. So we're really looking forward to it.
Even just watching tournaments, it's like, oh, Lugia.
Yeah.
Fast
forward.
It's Lugia. Oh, it's last box.
It's kind of lost its. It's a bit weird because it's lost its charm almost, because it's going to be Lugia. It's going to be a Lost Box. It's going to be a Mew.
Didn't feel this with Lost Origin. Like towards the tail end of Lost Origin. I mean, I know Silver Tempest came out like a week later, but it didn't feel like we were like we were getting sick of the Lost Origin. But like Silver Tempest just seems to be dragging.
Yeah, and I just think, I mean, there's never been such a large spread of usage of Lugia compared to the other metas. I think Lugia is completely outstayed as well. That's hard for me to say, because Lugia is my favorite Pokemon. I've got one right there, just above me, my favorite Pokemon, but unfortunately outstayed its welcome. So definitely looking forward to some new formats, and also when people start building these decks, all they're doing is building other decks to counter Lugia, rather than just counter decks. Just be a counter deck. Counter specific Lugias, Yveltals, like the Parasols for your amazing rare Yveltals. You've got it's coming to an end, and as when this episode releases, it will be 2 weeks to the day that Scarlet and Violet will be out, so we have plenty of time to then dig into that before we start looking at decks for EUIC. So talking of tournaments, there was a tournament last weekend, so there was actually two, but we're going to talk about the first regional over in Vancouver. It had over 500 entrants. Shock horror, there was a lot of Lugias. So in the top 8, there was 6 Lugias, and unfortunately, fortunately for the victor, but the person who won the Vancouver tournament was Ian Robb. So Ian obviously is known for some of the decks that he's played, such as the Palkia Crabominable deck, which I really am a big fan of. But he actually went with a Lugia deck. So having a look at his deck, and again for people who are listening to us on iTunes or Podbean, it's a standard Lugia deck. there's nothing spectacular about them anymore. It seems that the perfect 60 has been found. You've basically running a 3-2.
It's taken enough time. Like, they've had long enough to do it.
yeah. I mean, it's Lugia by numbers now. It's 3-2 line of Lugia V and V Star, 4 Archeops, 2 fish, Stoutland, Radiant Charizard, Amazing Rare Yveltal and Raikou. Then you've got your utility Pokemon such as Oranguru, Pumpkaboo to get rid of Path, Manaphy for bench protection, Dunsparce to get rid of that weakness, and then I think the only addition is Irida, which came in towards the beginning of the year, but it's now a staple in the deck to get Manaphy and to get such things as Lost Vacuums, Choice Belts, etc., to get you out of these tricky situations. And then even the energy seems to be standardized now. There's the standard list of it's 4 powerful, 4 aura, either 2 or 3 captures, 2 DTEs, and then you've got things like 1 V guard, 1 speed, and 1 heat energy. So it's nothing spectacular. it's just the paint by numbers Lugia deck. But congratulations to obviously to Ian who ran it.
His 5th regional win.
He's done very, very well. A fantastic player, and it's interesting to see how he'll keep going. Obviously, especially into the new meta. I'm looking forward to seeing obviously which decks the obviously top competitive players go towards. Are they going to still stay with Lugia, or are they going to go back to Giratina? Because obviously in Japan we know Giratina Lost Box is a prevalent deck.
I've been playing a lot of Giratina Lost Box on live when I can. And I don't like it.
You never liked Lost Box though.
No, I was never a massive fan of it, and the reason I find is just the decision making's too difficult for me.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I get stressed. I get stressed playing it, and it's just but it's not like you can get those cards back. They're in the lost zone. There's no card to get something back out of the lost zone. I don't think they'll ever do that. I think that'd be too busted. But yeah, there's just no way. And I just always found that I just ended up getting rid of something, and I'd need it later down the line. Maybe I need to play it a bit more. Maybe.
You have to just be really forward thinking. Like you have to. That's one of the hardest parts of actually playing the game in general. It's thinking like a couple of turns ahead. Like, what if I do this? The opponent will do this, so I then have to do that. So then I have to think ahead. But that's what you have to do with your own turns with Lost Box. I think, well, what if I want to use this 7 turns later? And obviously,
but then if everyone's playing Lugia, you know that they're going to have to discard the Archeops, get the V-Star, use the sort like you kind of.
You're playing by numbers when you're playing Lugia. That
becomes almost an easier match because you know what they're going to do. Because you've probably played it 6 times already in the day.
That I think Ian Robb said he played 11 mirror matches that day.
Jesus,
I wouldn't be surprised. I really, really would not be surprised. Looking at the statistics, the Lugia has a 39.66% share of all decks.
You know what? I think
entire meta.
Looking back
obscene.
at our Liverpool regional, I actually really wish I would have played Mewtwo Control, because I didn't play any of the counters. Didn't play any of the counters that I'd fought against, and I think I would have just had more fun playing something a bit different.
Yeah, well, we never know.
You never know.
We'll have to wait until next season now, but then there'll be hopefully plenty of new decks out there. So kind of obviously Ian Robb went into the final. He actually played up against Kobe Kawasaki, who was playing a Gudra Lost Box. Now I watched Kobe on stream a couple of times. Phenomenal player. He's very, very, very good. I think I was watching one on day 1, and he literally had to dig down to the last 2 cards of his deck to get an ordinary rod to then put the energy back in Mirage, and he won the game. And he's a very, very good player. So a bit unfortunate for him. Gudra Lost Box is a deck I've always been interested in. I've built it a couple times. I think I played it once. I always get worried because I watch, when I go into the finals. Like for example, the final of Liverpool was Mew. It was a Mew Gudra matchup, and watching that final, the Gudra just tanked. It never got going at all, and I'm worried that happened to me. So, and obviously, I feel safe at home with Lugia, or I did feel safe at home with Lugia. But
that's
Gudra,
what I think.
Gudra Lost Box.
Anything paired with Lost Box takes a long time to get going.
Yeah,
like you can't use Star Requiem for like the 3/4 of the game, really.
Yeah.
No, I know some turns
unless you get lucky.
Pop off and you can start getting stuff in the lost zone pretty quick.
Mm.
But generally speaking, you're probably looking at halfway through a game before you could use Star Requiem.
Yep.
Star Requiem, it's annoying.
It becomes good again because Big Parasol goes away. So
well, exactly.
That's why it's prevalent now.
Yeah. So again, looking at Kobe's list again by numbers, he's got the Cramorant, he's got the Lumineon, the Drapion for new matchups. But apart from that, Big Parasols and Temple of Sinnohs for the Lugia matchup. It's again a bog standard list. We're not seeing many variations at the moment. We saw some variations in certain decks, such as we've seen a couple of Aerodactyl V's get into some decks in order to stop Lugia. We've seen Flying Pikachu in Mew. We know Andrew Mahone did that and played that again at Vancouver. I think he got top 20. I think he came 18th. So Andrew Mahone with Flying Pikachu in there, and Flying Pikachu is great against Lost Box and also Reggie's. For our listeners out there, Flying Pikachu VMAX attack is 160 damage for 1 lightning energy and 2 colorless, I believe. And basically it prevents all attacks from basic Pokemon against the Flying Pikachu the next turn. So all of a sudden the Lost Box and especially Reggie's struggle. You obviously have to then get resources.
Got to escape rope or something, or
exactly, yeah.
Or like what happened with me was when I played against Flying Pikachu and I had a major misplay, and I bossed up one of his other VMAXs to knock it out, and then left the Flying Pikachu there as his sole attacker, and I couldn't.
You couldn't do anything then.
Yeah, I think I had like 2 prizes left or something, and he had, I think he had like 5, and I was like, well, you're not going to bench any more Pokemon. I'm just going to concede.
Exactly. Yeah. It's annoying and it works well. So, but I think because of how the format has come to, I don't think we're going to see any more of that. Because what else? I think there's obviously we will talk about it later, but there's a special event tournament going on in Utrecht this weekend. So. And I think we're in a group at the moment, aren't we, Andy, with the Fanboy 3 guys, and someone was looking for a Alolan Vulpix. So you don't know. There's still potentially some out there, but realistic in the tournaments that get the top 20, top 30, top 50, etc. It's pretty much paint by numbers decks at this point, with a smattering here and there. We also had Zach Lesage placed 3rd. He played Arcdura, so again, nothing at all new about this deck. It's the same deck that people have been running, but he just obviously pilots it very well. And then finishing out the top 8, we've got Daniel Zhao, Stefan Tobacco, Corey Godfrey, Dalton Cross, and Kieran Farrer, all running Lugia. So again, not going to go through each and every deck because at this point we'd be here forever, and there's going to be very few little tweaks here and there. The only other thing to make a note is a Vicar Vault made 9th, so a Vicar Vault deck made 9th. So I'll be glad to see that card go. I'll be definitely glad to see that card go. But there was not, apart from the results at Vancouver, I believe there was a little bit of controversy. I'm going to pass over to Andy to talk about it, and then I thought we'd just discuss it as a team.
Yeah. So the issue was Calvin Connor got disqualified for his sleeves. So to me, At face value, looking at them face on, you wouldn't know. But when you had the deck stacked, there was marks on the edges. So I guess that's why he's been disqualified, because it could have been seen as the cards are marked. He knows which mark is where, which card is what. So
at what point was he? At what point in his in the weekend was he disqualified? Was it early or was it day 2 or?
No, I don't think it was early. It might have been late, day 1, early day 2. Because I think he was doing pretty well.
Did they not just tell him to re-sleeve? Did they not just say, "Oh"?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just really harsh decision to just say, right, you're disqualified.
Yeah.
Just because the sleeves were marked.
Because if you're disqualified, it means that you're cheating. Like, it means that they think you're cheating, so you get disqualified. If it's not, then they just ask you to re-sleeve.
Exactly. I think it was harsh. Very harsh.
I mean, Calvin's a very, very, very experienced player.
Yeah,
when you look at his repertoire, he's come. Yeah, I mean, in Orlando this year came 4th, San Diego came 32nd, Arlington 90th, Peoria came 2nd, Baltimore and the World Championship last year came 9th in both of them. He's a very, very experienced player. I'm really surprised this has happened to him.
Yeah.
And especially when we even spoke about it, didn't we? I can't remember which tournament it was. But they made someone re-sleeve on stream, if you remember. We talked about it. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm surprised they didn't do that to him.
Did he gain an advantage from the cards that were like so-called marked?
Well, that's how they've seen it. They've seen he's gaining an advantage because he might know what's in that sleeve.
Yeah, so 2 of the bunch that were marked, 2 of them were quick balls.
Yeah.
We can put it is sketchy, yeah. If it's like one of them is like, I don't know, a Bidoof or something, or just something that you just, or something is like, just, I don't know, a card that is less important, but like quick balls always.
All cards are important though, aren't they?
I guess.
To some extent, it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, looking at the picture on Twitter, it's 2 quick balls, a Mew VMAX, a George Oricorio, Path to the Peak, Forest Sealstone, Escape Rope, Lost City, Cramomatic, and a Lost Vacuum. So
pretty important cards there.
Fairly key cards.
Yeah.
Because if you wanted to mark any cards, you just mark all the Forest Sealstones, but then that's too obvious. So I guess you have to mark some random cards as well. But no, we're not saying it's marking them, but like theoretically.
No, and especially in a deck like Mew, where you're shuffling
constantly,
like quite often.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of drawing,
a lot of moving parts in Mew. Yeah.
I think it was really hard. Like, wow, it'd be good to see them respond as to how they came to that decision to disqualify him.
I mean, it must have been a deck check, and then maybe the checker has just been a little bit overzealous. Maybe.
Would a disqualification not have to come from a head judge though? Do you not think?
I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah.
The head judge who's overseeing the whole day gets told, on top of everything else that they've got to manage, this guy's got 2 marked quick balls in his deck. It's there's
how did he react? Like, what is he reacted on Twitter or on like?
Yeah.
Was he on the stream?
That we found out. He posted on Twitter that he'd been disqualified for ads, and he's put pictures up as to like he took a picture of the deck on the side stats. So, and you can see the marks, but
because it is weird because when like after maybe about I don't know, 4 or 5 hours into playing, all my cards were like so-called marked just because I shuffle really hard, but they're all evenly.
They were all brand new as well.
They're all brand new. We
all did
relieved
it,
them all the night before, and by halfway, my sleeves were exactly the same as before I re-sleeved them, but they were all evenly like that. So I actually wouldn't be able to tell because in the end, all 60 sleeves were exactly the same, like marked. So
also you've got to think as well, he's such a high profile player.
Yeah.
Would he risk it? Would he risk it? But then again, we don't know. We're not going to hypothesize. We don't know. But it's we actually mentioned, I'm sure in one of our first earlier episodes, we actually mentioned the lack of deck checking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we mentioned it, and it's now. I'm not going to say it's good to see it happen, but it's good if that's the case. It is, but there should be hope. I would like to think there'd be a bit more flexibility with the judges. For example, give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're not cheating, let them re-sleeve. Rather than a straight DQ. I think I agree with Andy.
Yeah.
Very harsh. I also agree with Kath. Pretty sketchy some of the cards mentioned, but such a high-profile player, and also surely the judge has to act like a policeman almost. You're basically you're innocent until proven guilty. Surely that should be the way the judge acts as well.
Yeah.
They need to deter people that actually intend to cheat as well. That if they're going to disqualify people.
This is what I mean. There's the consistency. Like, fair play to the judges. Like, they do a great job. Like 99% of the times, but there's these 1% of the times where it's not consistent. Like, look at a few weeks ago where Grant Shen was using the wrong Reggie Lecky and he'd won 3. He was 3 or 4 games in.
2 or 3 games
and then
before.
they just said, "Okay, just go and get the right one."
Mm.
And now someone else has been disqualified because they
shuffled.
The sleeves are knackered.
It's just who's doing it. It's like customer service. It just depends on who you get on the day.
Well, I think where we play in Manchester, we actually there's a judge who judged at Worlds. I think he's judging at Worlds 23 as well. So we might speak to him, and I think it'd be good for all of us just to learn what it's like from the judge's side, because we're only hypothesizing, we only hear what we see. And I think
it'd be good to get a judge on the episode.
100%, yeah. And it'd be good to hear from him and see what he says, hear from their side, because again, the thing is with a lot of these things is 99%, like Andy said, 99% of the time it's fine, but it's that 1%, and unfortunately those 1%, when it happens and it occurs, they shout the loudest rather than great job, judge, for doing your job, and doing fine, no issues. No one's going to tweet that. No one's going to say that. It's only where there's controversy, where there's a decision that they don't agree with, and that's when they shout the loudest and it becomes more vocal in the community. So I think we know a judge who does obviously actively judge at Worlds and big competitions and regionals. So I think we will look at potentially getting him on the episode and finding out from his side. So I think that'd be quite good. Moving on then, we also had another regional. So there was a regional over in Brazil, so regional Natal. 263 players. It was won by William Azevedo. And surprise, surprise, it was Lugia. Surprise, surprise, Lugia. Top 8. Surprise, surprise. 6 of them were Lugia. One was one was Hisuian Gudra, and one was just a traditional Lost box. So without kind of spending too much time dwelling on it, again, deck wise, very, very similar to what we discussed already. No massive changes from what I can see. I think the only difference I've noticed really is a Serena in place of and a double Irida. So, but he's reduced counts and other items. But again, everything else is pretty much the same. Pokemon list the same. Energy list the same. Nothing new. So again, if that doesn't scream format needs changing, nothing will. So then moving on to a little bit of news. There has been announced, I think it's officially announced, because we're due to get our next set. Next set. I'm jumping the gun here. We're not even got Scarlet and Violet yet, but obviously we've got Scarlet and Violet coming out on the 31st of March, and then we've got our next set. I believe it's dropping on the 7th of June. I believe, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think it sounds about right. And what was the name of that?
Late, I guess.
Do you reckon it'll be pushed back?
No, because it's already late.
Already late, yeah.
Right.
Already had Scarlet and Violet.
What was the name of that? I think I looked at it the other day and everyone knew about it already apart from me. What was the name? That's the head.
Paldea Evolved.
There we go. Look at that. So Paldea Evolved, obviously. I think that's the first, from what I'm aware of, I think that's the first Pokemon expansion set that's going to come out that actually references the region. I think that's never happened before, so that's quite interesting. Obviously, it's going to be a mix of missed cards. I assume, potentially missed cards from Scarlet and Violet, if we are missing any cards.
Paradox Pokemon and things like that.
I'm hoping so, yeah. And then, obviously, it's going to be Triplet Beat as well for the Japanese set, which released, I believe, last week.
I'm sure I've seen somewhere as well. There's a Pokemon V that we've not yet had.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure there's one that we've not had yet. I think Wassy did a video on it.
Okay, we'll have to look. I'll be interested in that. I mean, I wonder what it'd be. I know there's some
Fairy V.
Fairy V. Galarian Wheezing V.
Anything worse. I do know there is a there's a Lugia V, and the artwork's different. It's not been released over here yet. So obviously when Lost Origins,
the last thing we need is more Lugia V.
When Lost Origins released, obviously we've got Giratina V and Giratina V Star. We've got the alt art, etc. But Lost Abyss actually had a different artwork, I believe. And that eventually came out in the tins over here. There's a different type of Lugia V, and it looks amazing. And I'm going to send it to Alex and make sure he puts it on the page so we can see it and appreciate the beauty of this card. I think it's the best looking Lugia card to date. But the only way to get it was in a mystery box from Pokemon Center Japan, where it came with exclusive sleeves. It came with, exclusive sleeves, came with exclusive deck box, and then it came with exclusive promo, I believe. And I'm pretty sure the promos were Regieleki, Regidrago, and Lugia. Now, we've had the Regidrago and Regieleki from Crown Zenith. So they've the alternate V artworks, but we've not had this alternate V Lugia yet. And I'm desperate for it to come out in English so it can go to my Lugia collection. So interested to find when that's going to come out, because, again, we're all looking forward to the new format. EX Pokemon, but they've still got a couple of Vs, I think, still to come out. Obviously, they're still releasing them in Crown Zenith.
Jirachi V.
Okay, and was that over in, obviously, Japan? Had been released in Japan, and
yeah,
we haven't seen it yet. Okay, that'll be interesting. So, as and when we know when it comes out in English, we'll let you know. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But there's also been another set announced for Japan. So the next set for Japan is Ruler of the Black Flame, and that has been confirmed that it's going to have a Darkness type Charizard.
Yeah, I heard about that actually. Yeah,
so
that's a Dark Terror type Charizard.
It is. Yep, it is. So obviously we got the Charizard Terror type, but it was Dragon Terror type in Scarlet and Violet, the game. Yeah. That was the first Terror raid. So
I think we're all just hoping that this new Terror type has a different ability than bench protection.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be. I'm hoping it is.
They have to do something different, because that for the next 3 years is.
Yeah. There's actually a couple more sets coming out. Just obviously, I think Japan have had quite a few release. I don't know the release dates, but obviously got Ruler of the Black Flame. They've also got Snow Hazard and Clayburst. Now I think, and a lot of people think online that relates to Chien Pao and Ting Lu from the base game. And then also there's Raging Surf as well, which is I think based around Tatsuguri and Dundozo, and I think Gold Xeno as well. And then obviously we've got the classic Pokemon as well, which is the classic
fifth
Pokemon game.
150.
Yeah.
When's that coming out? The 150.
That'll be like
June.
summer. That'll be a summer holiday set.
June in Japan. I think it's June in Japan. So it's got a lot coming out, hasn't it? So there's a lot coming out.
Got to get the rest of Crown Zenith out of the way as well first.
Well, that's it, yeah. 'Cause I mean,
that's still coming out in May.
I know. There's actually a tin set coming out this week. So by the time this episode releases, the Galarian Birds tins will be released in the UK. We've still got the tournament editions of Cyrus and Clara coming, and I believe that's next week. We've then got the Arceus Ultra Premium Collection coming out in May, finally in the UK. I know a lot of people have shipped over from America, but we're getting it in May.
When's Marnie
Marnie
coming out?
I want to say April.
That's what I want.
The Morpeko one, yeah. Again, I actually don't know. I'd say May. I think it's May time. Oh, maybe is it end of April? Because I
want to say April for that one.
Because I think the Zacian and Zamazenta are the last items to release, and they're coming out mid-May, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm still on the fence about pre-ordering them.
I've not pre-ordered them. I'm going to say no, but I can guarantee the moment I see them, I'll be like, yep, get them. I did that with the Pikachu VMAX.
Well,
I did that with Pikachu VMAX as well. So, but yeah, I mean, but Japan's got even more sets because Pokemon have trademarked the titles Ancient, Raw, and Future Flash. So that's obviously, hopefully, a Paradox-heavy set. That's got no release date, and they've also trademarked Shiny Treasure, which will be most likely a holiday set as well. So
that'll be like Shining Fates, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. They like doing the shining fates, hidden fates. They love doing all that. So yeah, looks like we've got a very busy year of Pokemon coming. So
busy and expensive.
I was going to say, make sure you all keep in tune with us, but also make sure you bloody work hard because it's going to cost us an absolute bomb. But yeah, in terms of news, I think that's really all to cover this week. I think next week we'll have a bit more news because this week we've got our first pre-release event. So it'll be interesting to see now we've got the first Scarlet and Violet sets. It's going to be interesting to see how the card trick, apparently the card trick's changed. I believe it's now the energy is the final card of the set, hidden, and then behind that is the rare, because so basically rather than how we do it now, the 4-card trick at the back to the front, it's now essentially you don't need to actually do it. You can just go straight through and there's an energy card at the back, or you can just do one to the front. So
the amount of reverses and we get 2 reverse slots and 1 hollow slot.
Correct.
Now.
Yeah, so myself, Andy, and Kath, and Paul, who we mentioned in the podcast this week and last week, we're all heading down to Geek Retreat in Bury. So by the time this episode's out, we'll be going tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to it. And what we'll do is I think we're going to hopefully take some footage and be able to release some footage of pre-release openings, especially for Al because he's over in Italy at the moment. So he's not got any pre-release events. So we'll do it and then we'll obviously release it. But obviously we're starting to see some products in the wild now. ETBs will start being released soon. It's an exciting time. Pokemon release them. I always get excited.
Have you got anywhere locally, Al, that you could go?
Yeah, I have looked. There's a few actually that I'm looking into. One of which is like on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. So that's not. That's my nearest one.
Wednesday, that's time to play Pokemon, or Wednesday at 4 p.m.
I think it's for kids. I think it's like an after school for kids.
I think you should go. I think you should go.
But I'd love to. But yeah, I'd love to finish early. Yeah, I might win as well. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that might be worse.
Yeah.
Exactly,
I probably will lose.
Alex hangs up his Pokemon boots because he got beaten by 5 to 6 year olds. Pre-release in Italian as well. Right. Okay. So yeah, obviously we're looking forward to that.
That's true. Actually, if I do go to a pre-release in Italy, all the cards will be in Italian, and even though my Italian's getting better, I won't know what the cards are, so I'll have to translate them.
have to get English proxies. You have to use English proxies from Justin Basil. But yeah, I think that's all it for the news this week. So that moves us on to our next segment of the video, RTFC. And this week it's actually going to be me. I'm going to be doing the RTFC, and it's based around a card. Not that I forgot to read, it's just I forgot to read it every time I used it, and also take advantage of it. So obviously during the tabletop gameplay, I was using Lugia, and our special energy has diminished substantially since full rotation. And the energies I was using were Lucky and Gift. Now, I think Andy, you've covered Gift before, haven't you? So in one of the first episodes. So I'm going to talk about Lucky Energy, and Lucky Energy is basically whenever this Pokemon is whenever the attached energy to the Pokemon, whenever that Pokemon is attacked or knocked out, I'm able to draw a card. I never drew a card. I completely forgot about that. I just saw it as another energy, put it on there, and then so all of a sudden I was getting hit. I'd be like, right, okay, draw for turn, go. And I could actually draw 2 cards. And then obviously in one of the games, no spoilers obviously for when we release it, but I bricked pretty heavily. It could have been a godsend for me, and I completely forgot to read the frigging card. So Lucky Energy is from Chilling Reign. It's E-Regulation. It's 158 card out of 198 cards, and its description is: as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it's knocked out, draw a card. So yeah, it would have helped me massively. I would have benefited substantially. Does
that work in tandem with Gift Energy? So you draw a card for Lucky Energy, and then up to 7
gift, yeah,
with Gift.
So it kind of counteracts almost, doesn't it? Because
so if you draw up to 7 with Gift and then draw another one for Lucky,
I suppose it depends on which order. Right, if you sequence it that way, yeah. Yeah, or it depending on the ruling, which we'd have to probably look into and probably ask a judge about, which I think we know one. Yeah. It might be that you have to take the hit first and take the card, and then draw up to 7 because that's the attack and then the knockout, if that makes sense in that sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be detrimental. Well, not really detrimental, could it really? Because if you've got, for example, you're still going to get up to 7 cards, aren't you? No matter what. Regardless, but yeah, if you could maybe do it the other way, but again we'll have to check really, but it's not obvious actually when you read the card. Actually, it's a good point actually. But I think the main basis of it is the fact that I read it and I put it down and I never used it, and I could have helped me so much. But it's also good to know as well that it's not on the active. Obviously if it's bench damage, it doesn't affect. Does it affect on does it look on Gift Energy? If your Pokemon's knocked out with Gift Energy on the bench, say for example Inteleon or Sableye, do you still draw to 7 then, or does it have to be inactive?
No, I think it's on the bench. It's on the bench too.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think that just says if the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, draw up to 7. But I think it's worth pointing out that Lucky Energy wouldn't proc from Sableye,
sorry, it's attack, isn't it? It's not
Yveltal, Giratina.
It's got to be damage from an attack.
From an attack, yeah, not an effect of an attack, really. So yeah, it's good to know. Good to know. See, it's beneficial RTFCing always, and we're going to stand by that.
Always, all the
time. Always. Considering we're the guys that we're the ones that put it in the episode and discuss it every week. It's still scary how many times we do not RTFC.
Yeah.
But I suppose the fun thing about pre-release is going to be the fact that we're going to be reading every single card because we're not going to have a clue what's going on. So I'm looking forward to it. And that was the RTFC segment for this week. So I think that brings the episode to a close this week. Again, it's flown by. We've got plenty to talk about. We've still got plenty to talk about next week when we come back from pre-release. And we've always got plenty more stuff to talk about. So looking forward to it. So I want to thank you all for listening. I want to again thank PokédexForYou.com for sponsoring this episode and sponsoring the channel. And if you want to listen to us or catch us on YouTube, you can catch. Sorry, if you want to listen to us or watch us, you can catch us on YouTube. We release this episode every Friday, and then we also release additional content for your viewing pleasure. So if you go to youtube.com, and we're at Training Court TCG. We also follow us on our social media channels. So we have a Twitter account, which is at Training Court, the Training Court TCG. And then we also have an Instagram account, which is at Training Court TCG. You can also listen to the podcast via iTunes, and we are still looking into Spotify. That's a note for Alex to remember to look up Spotify. But if you want to listen to us, go on to Apple iTunes and type in the Training Court TCG, or you can also go to Podbean. The Training Court TCG.podbean.com to listen to us. But I want to thank everyone again for listening. I thank Al, Andy, and Kath for joining me. Thanks again, guys. And we will catch you all next week. See you later.
See ya. Bye.